I find myself incredibly fortunate that in my role, I have the opportunity to speak and present to many different people across many different countries in Asia Pacific. And that encompasses a lot of different cultures and especially a lot of different languages. I might be in mainland China where people speak simplified Chinese. I could be in Taiwan where it's more traditional Chinese. It could be Hong Kong where people speak Cantonese, or Indonesia with Bahasa. It could be Malaysia or Thailand, Vietnamese, a whole range of different languages. And while many of those countries would kind of have a de facto of, yes, we will accept English as a business language, especially when people like me sort of come into town, they would definitely prefer to be able to have those messages and those stories articulated in a language that they understand. And that's key to any presentation, is communicating to people in the way they want to be communicated to. So one of the underutilized features, which is inside PowerPoint, is the ability to actually monitor your language through a microphone and then to display it up in a screen in a different language. So effectively, it's taking in what you're saying, doing the translation, and then showing it up on the screen. And I had this particular instance where I was in Taiwan, and Taiwan speaks traditional Mandarin, and or traditional Chinese, I should probably say, not simplified, so traditional Chinese. And we were talking to a CIO, and they told me up front, they said, hey, his English isn't fantastic, so we might have to translate for you as we present. And that was fine. I've done that many times before. But then I said to myself, hey, there's this feature, maybe we should try it out. And so while we were waiting for the CIO to come into the meeting room, we quickly tested out this capability of where I would present a few slides and look at the translations as it came through. And much to the surprise of myself and the team, they said the translation was fantastic. It was really, really effective and got the message across. So we decided to go with that for the presentation. And as we were presenting, I took a moment to stop for the CIO to read what was actually coming on the screen. But he really understood what we were talking about. And it wasn't general sort of messages. We were talking about AI and data and modern infrastructure and all of these different things. So some very complicated terminology. And it came through in a translation. So it became an incredible tool that I've used ever since when presenting to different audiences. So I want to show you how you can do that here in PowerPoint. But first, you might require a little bit of additional hardware. And so if you're on the road a lot like me, you tend to have your own kit that you take. And this is one that I sort of bring on the road. This is a Holyland wireless microphone, right? So you can sort of see it here. And inside we have little microphones here. There's also a receiver for a camera, but I don't necessarily use that. It also comes with this little USB-C receiver. And so this is what I plug into my MacBook, and I'm going to plug it into my Mac Mini here to demonstrate. But all I need to have is this receiver and one of these little microphones. And it's going to be fairly, not necessarily overly noticeable. So I can go ahead and actually just magnetize this here. So I've got the little transceiver, the microphone here, and I'm going to present and speak and have this going into the receiver. So I'm going to plug this in to my Mac, and that's connecting down there on the Mac. That's connecting here. And now we're going to switch over to the PowerPoint and show you how to set this up. So here's my presentation, the cheese effect. We're going to go over to the slideshow menu, which is between animations and record. And we're going to go over to subtitle settings. Now, what we want to do is make sure that always use subtitles is checkboxed, because that will help the subtitles to work. And then what we'll do is we'll go into subtitle settings, and here's where you have all your options. So spoken language, which is your spoken languages, will be important for the translation. So by default, there's these 10, but there are some preview languages. So I'm an Australian, I speak English Australian, so there are subtleties in my pronunciation of words, so I choose English Australia. And then I want the subtitle language, for which I want to choose here, so I can choose all these different languages. And it's a fairly comprehensive list here. Malay, Lithuanian, Hindi. I'm not even sure what language this one is, but lots of different options here. I'm going to go with Chinese traditional, which is the example language I utilized when I was in Taiwan. And once that's done, I've got those languages set up. I also want to choose my microphone, so I can see the different microphones I have. So my iPhone, my Yeti, which I'm talking into now as I record this video, the camo microphone, or the wireless microphone. And the wireless microphone is what I've got plugged in over here. So that's fairly straightforward. And then finally, where do I want the actual subtitles? Do I want them bottom overlaid so the slide would show up and the subtitles would be on top of the slide, or do I want them below or above? And so that would actually push the slides up and then have a space down the bottom. Finally, there's system caption preferences, and that will actually help you to set those within your operating system as well. So that's it. There's actually not much else you have to do. You don't have to go up and subscribe to a service. This is all built into PowerPoint, which I think is a fantastic feature. So what I'm going to do is now switch over to the PowerPoint presentation in presentation mode, and I'm going to go and start speaking. And what you will see is what I'm saying coming up in subtitles in traditional Chinese. And just to prove it's working, I'm going to try and take a screenshot of the actual text or the subtitles. I'll copy it and we'll put it into Google Translate to see how the translation works. So let's switch over to the PowerPoint. Okay, so now we're in the PowerPoint show, and as I start to talk, you will see the translation occurring for my presentation. And this is translating my English into traditional Chinese. So let's give this a test. I'm just going to say some things and then let's see how it translates that into the local language. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matthew Hardman, and I would like to share with you information about our cheese business here in Taiwan. Okay, so what I just did was take a screenshot of that particular text, and I'm going to put that into Google Translate to see how the translation actually was. Remember, I introduced myself and talked about our cheese business. So let's switch over to the browser and copy that text in. Okay, so what you're seeing here above is the screenshot of the actual text. I'm going to go to Translate. Let's see, Google Translate. And we're going to copy this text. Oops. So Control C, we're going to do copy. And there you can actually see, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Matthew Harbin, and I would like to share with you information about our cheese business in Taiwan, which I will tell you is an incredibly accurate translation of my English Australian into traditional Chinese. And then by copying it back, we can actually see that language was actually used really, really well here. So what's interesting as well, back in Google, I don't know if you sort of saw this, but it's got the traditional script, and it's also then got the, now I'm going to get this wrong, my wife will kill me, Haiyu opinion, the sort of the semi-translation into an English version of Chinese, but the language there is really good. So next time you're looking at actually doing a presentation to an international audience, please consider that their ability to understand will only be strengthened or accelerated by utilizing some of these accessibility features inside PowerPoint. So know your audience, choose the correct subtitles, and equip yourself for presentation success. Thanks so much for joining.